So, a new week means a new public playtest for Oshur, the next continent coming to Planetside 2. This time around, the highlight of the test is the brand new Trident relay facilities, aka the Seattle Space Needles of Araxis. Are these things going to be nightmares to assault? Are they going to be home to fun fights? Let's talk. G'day there once again viewers, this is your mate Kamikaze78 here, and today we're going to be talking about the second playtest of Oshur and the patch notes that came alongside. So, look, it would be pretty rude of me to, not start off with the party piece of this video. I could just do the whole YouTuber thing and make y'all wait until the end of the video to appease to Papa YouTube with, video retention rate and all that good stuff. But I'm feeling pretty nice today, so let's talk about these Trident relays. These things are the brand new facility types coming to the continent of Oshur, and are easily the most distinguishable bases on the continent as far as the skyline is concerned. These towering spires act, at least in the context of the continent's lattice system, as interconnecting facilities that offer flanking routes between the islands and different lanes of lattice on the continent. They breed new opportunities to cut off territory from opposing factions if you successfully capture one. Like seriously, securing one of these territories offers completely new flanking opportunities that you didn't have beforehand, so I expect these things to be key targets of opportunity during continent capture alerts for sure. But beyond that, how do these bases actually play on a gameplay level? Well, they're a 3-point base, and they're practically symmetrical if you divide them into a triangular layout. There are 3 landing pads, each sporting a primary entrance and 2 flanking entrances via the outer balcony. It's also worth noting just how difficult it is for aircraft to actually lay fire into these entranceways, whether it be thanks to the slanted roof or the walls inside the base that don't allow aircraft to see very deep into the, internals and guts of the base itself. It's very difficult for aircraft to actually get suppressing fire into these Trident relays, so that's an excellent move as far as base design is concerned. Once you actually get into the facility, there are 2 primary corridors that loop the entire circumference of the facility, one inner and outer, with a good mix of cover and firing lanes, which is going to be interesting to fight amongst, I believe. The control points are located in what I can only describe as eatery areas. I mean, these rooms are littered with tables and stools and provide probably the best views of the continent available to infantry, so yeah, these are eatery areas. The furniture in the room is certainly going to act as either cover or movement roadblocks and annoyances for mid-firefight. Which one it's going to be? Well, that's yet to be seen, I reckon. The spawn room is located in the dead center of the facility, with there being 3 primary exit points, all of which easily lead to each landing pad as well as each capture point. But how did it actually play? It should be noted that there is absolutely no way for attackers to reach the actual, playable area of the spire from the ground level, so this facility needs to be assaulted from the air. It sounds like it's very much an attempt to further incentivize the use of the Lodestar prototype in its current form, but I still feel like those are going to be pretty easy pickings, all things considered. They're big, they're bulky, they take time to reach the air pads, and the air pads are also easily defended by AA max suits. Instead, during the playtest, the dominant strategy for assaulting the base very much came down to using Sunderer anvils on either the roof of the facility or by jamming one on the landing pads while the defenders weren't present. I also saw a good amount of spawn beacons and routers being used as well, so there's going to be a lot of use of these war assets or squad logistics to make this work. Now, because these were new and shiny facilities on the continent, players basically spent all of their time, or at least the majority of their time, during this playtest at this facility, myself included. So I have to admit, the way this facility played during this playtest very much felt like a overly strong stress test of the facility under massive population loads. It didn't really feel like it was going to be representative of how the facility played during live gameplay hours. I have to say that under the said loads the facility was put under during the test, it felt a little claustrophobic. I had the same sort of feeling when I played in the interlink relays as well at first. The size, battle flow, spawn room positioning felt incredibly claustrophobic when it was hit by incredibly large population numbers. Now granted, this is a problem that Planetside has with a lot of its bases on multiple continents, but it's worth noting here. There were plenty of occasions where an assaulting force was able to spawn room lock an enemy pretty savagely, and it was also pretty difficult for the enemy to get out of that spawn room lock. But in saying that, there were also times where I was defending one of these facilities and we kicked the attackers out, no questions asked. So under huge population loads, the base gets a little clunky in my opinion. Under 24 to 48 size population loads, I can actually see this facility being a lot of fun to play in, especially considering the location of the capture points. But regardless of population size, I do have a significant concern about the vulnerability of attacker spawns. I feel like it's going to be incredibly easy to displace attackers if they don't have a router present inside the actual base itself, which could very well just be a further emphasis on how important construction is on the continent of Oshur, but I'm not sure if that's actually going to result in solid gameplay for this facility type without it just being sort of this magnet for Zergs to just bum rush and hope to God it goes through. Like the rest of the continent, I need more time on them to generate a more concrete opinion. They felt new to play on, and I need to play on them under different testing loads and different population loads to work out how I feel about their introduction to the game. Once the new and shiny around them is gone, I'm curious to see how they'll play in the meta, but despite that, the new and shiny aspect of them was enjoyable. I like getting new facility archetypes to play in. I like that the developers are testing new ideas. It's just a matter of making sure that these work, and the concerns I have around attacker spawn vulnerability and population getting claustrophobic in a base like this, those are my main concerns right now. Overall, I kind of like the layout of the facility though. I thought it had the potential to play really, really well, and like I said with the interlink facilities, these could be, you know, great scrimmage environments in my humble opinion. But yeah, of course the Tridents were the showpiece of this playtest. They were the big new thing for us all to get in there and test, but there were a couple of other changes made directly to Oshur and a couple of other aspects of the game that are worth noting here as well. Relating directly to Oshur, there have been a ton of changes made to bases that I'm not going to go over in this video because, well, half of these I didn't have a chance to play at prior to their changes being made, so I have no point of comparison to use here. I must say though, across the board, performance was better on Oshur during this playtest, and my audio worked across the entire playtest as well. So the developers have clearly made some progress on that front. Low-end graphics settings also now work on the continent, which is great for all those who like to play on lower-end settings to get the maximum FPS possible, but on top of that, it's also great for those who simply have no choice and have to play on lower-end settings. A big change that also stuck out to me directly relating to Oshur is the decision to remove the Bastion fleet carrier terminal from the flotillas on the continent. Now, there's no elaboration as to whether or not this is a permanent change, but I can't imagine said terminals going anywhere else on the continent, and if they weren't going anywhere else, what's the point in removing them? So I reckon this is a permanent change, and after thinking on it a bit more, it sounds like a good one to me. The reason for this being, guys, is that Bastions are notoriously good for killing construction bases. If one of these gets pulled here on this continent, there's going to be bloody nothing you can do to stop one steamrolling a lattice and just killing every degree of construction that's been put on that lattice link. In fact, a Bastion could probably very easily clear an entire continent's worth of construction before being properly countered. It's worth noting here as well that at the moment, Colossus tank terminals are not on the continent, and let's be real, even if they were, Colossus tanks are not going to even have a chance at keeping up with a Bastion fleet carrier on a water-based continent like this one. This to me is a good move, and I think it will be a healthier approach for the continent's playability until the developers can work out a better way to approach Bastions versus construction balance. I'm sorry to all my Bastion pilots in the community here, but this is a good move for this continent in particular, and it will result in the continent playing just simply better. Now, on the topic of construction, there's also been a bunch of additional changes made to the Quartium node offerings and to the harvesting tools and, well, their harvest rates. Again, not going to go over all of them in great detail here, but I'll leave sort of the stats that are being changed on your screen currently for you to have a read over. The goal here appears to be in speeding up the process that comes from acquiring the right amount of Quartium to build a base, which for a continent that is going to see a lot of movement up and down construction-focused territories, that's a good move in my opinion. It makes the resource collection less tedious, and it means that construction overall is going to be a more enjoyable process to get into, so GG's on that front. The most controversial change that seems to have come out of these patch notes so far, though, has been the removal of the ant cloaking device from the game and the corresponding certs being refunded. I'm sorry guys, but to me, this tool has been abused just that little bit too much in my opinion. Dying to a giant cloaked death truck that's moving at Mach 5, running you over consistently in an open field fight is infuriating gameplay. In fact, it's unhealthy gameplay for the game. It just feels cheap. I'm glad it's being removed because it does make the ant incredibly cheesable and not in a good way. And while some of you I know weren't doing that with the cloak and were actually, using it for its intended purpose, you had that small percentage of players who have ruined it for you. And because the ant was being abused in this sort of way, it can't stay in the game. It just can't. I know it had a legitimate reason to exist when it came to deterring or just hiding from aircraft that were hunting ants. And maybe there's a separate solution to avoid that issue from happening in the future. An example of an idea I've heard as a replacement to the cloak functionality is to allow an ant to deploy a hard-like canopy above itself to deter aircraft from farming it, or at least to offer a sense of protection until the ant can find some harder cover on the continent. Might be a solid idea. But when it comes to aircraft, the Banshee is getting a nerf. Rejoice, ladies and gentlemen, the Banshee is getting a nerf. Now look, I admit, the Banshee is not the only problem in the game when it comes to air-to-ground spam. TR mains, stop typing out your rage comments. I know it's coming. What about the PPA? What about the Airhammer? I get it, guys. The Banshee has definitely been an outlier when it comes to performance for a long time now as well. Not everything has to be addressed in one patch. We can address things gradually as time goes on. But you have to admit, this kind of needed to happen. Now, the blast damage minimum radius is going from 2 meters to 1.5, so we'll see how much of an impact this is actually going to have on the weapon's effectiveness, but at least we're starting to make some effort towards nerfing anti-ground against infantry. It's something that I've wanted to see for a long ass time now, and I think we're finally getting there. But guys, with all of that said, that is going to wrap up today's video talking about Oshur and its second public playtest that happened over the last weekend. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, be sure to back in the like button, it goes a long way. Let me know in the comment section down below what your thoughts were on this latest playtest. Did you like the Trident facilities? Did you like the slew of changes that have hit the servers? Let me know what your thoughts are. If you guys are new to the channel, consider subscribing. Also goes a long way to helping us out. And if you're somebody who's been around for a long ass time and you want to support the channel further, consider using the channel join membership link down below. It also goes a long way, but of course, no pressure to do so, guys. Once again, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Peace out, and I will see you guys all in the next one. Take care, guys. Have a good one.